You are listening to Three Kitchens Podcast, hosted by Erin Walker and Heather Dyer.
We're friends trying out recipes in our own regular home kitchens. We hope our experiences will inspire you to get creative in the kitchen.
All right, here we are, freshly showered, just worked out. We're looking our best, feeling our best.
Trying
at least
hard.
we're good at lying to ourselves. I'm Erin Walker. Over on the other screen is Heather Dyer, and we are Three Kitchens Podcast. Hello
Very
and welcome.
Nice intro. Yes, hello. And you, in case you don't know who you are our dear, valued listener, who we wouldn't be here without.
Right?
Yes.
We love that people are tuning in and listening to the nonsense that we go through.
It's like the best. I mean, obviously it wouldn't exist without anyone listening, but really it's like so fun to imagine who. We were just talking earlier about who is our sort of not ideal listener, but like who is our listener, our demographic. And it's fun to just imagine that person with their little earbuds in and
walking their dog.
Yeah.
Cooking in the kitchen as they're drinking their wine and telling their kids to turn the TV down.
I'm trying to listen to my program.
Exactly. Or at least that's what I sound like.
Be quiet, Erin is talking. And they're like, who's Erin?
You can just record that and play it on end for your children. Turn the TV down. Turn the TV down.
Yeah. Like one of those little...
You know, you press a button and it says a phrase. They
Yeah.
could make one for moms, right?
Totally. And you could be the voice of it.
Like those vocal cords have gotten fried from just constantly saying, ah.
That's when I call them dude. I was telling you how I sometimes call them, I don't call anybody else dude, but it's like, it sounds like this. Dude? It's like the warning. They know if I'm turning around and going, dude?
If you've lost your name and you're now referred to as dude in Heather's house, pay attention.
It used to be like with our parents, it would be the middle name came out. I don't do that.
Yeah.
That's too much. That requires too much thought. Like which kid is it? What's his middle name? I don't remember. It's just dude.
Chances are I'm gonna mess it up. Yeah.
Yes. And then they make fun of you if you get it wrong.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So I called you on here. I was grocery shopping and picked up a mystery item that I want to talk about and cook with. And so said mystery item is figs, fresh figs.
Oh, interesting.
I saw them at the grocery store, sitting in the berry section. They're in a little clamshell. And I thought, I have never cooked with fresh figs. I've never eaten fresh figs. The only time I can recall having figs would be in a fig Newton.
I'm here with you. It's another one where we have been under a rock.
Okay.
And we're coming out from behind our little sheltered rock.
Okay. So I read a book earlier in the year or sometime late last year. It was called The Island of Missing Trees. And the fig tree was a character in it whom I quite liked. I recommended the book to Heather, and she was like, this dang fig tree. I'm tired of hearing its soliloquy.
Okay, so I have a thing about audiobooks, and we've talked about this. I'm very particular. I don't like certain voices, and I don't have a problem with the fig tree being a character, but I did not like this particular fig tree.
Yeah, we had some fun. We had some fun with this tree. So, varying reviews on audiobooks and books, but, as I stared at these figs, I thought, oh yeah, I remember that fig tree. He was a fond friend of mine from that book. But there's a reason we've been under a rock. The fig is native to the Mediterranean region and has been cultivated widely throughout the world, but we are not in the Mediterranean climate, so it is not cultivated here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a reason we haven't been exposed to this, because it's just not here, kind of like the artichokes.
Oh God.
If we're allowed to say that.
I hope it's not a repeat of the artichoke.
I don't think it will be.
Well, I just hope we get good quality figs here, like imported figs.
I'm hoping we get decent figs. I got this little package. I haven't opened it up yet or touched them. I made a commitment back around Valentine's Day when you made your no-bake chocolate vegan tart
Mm-hmm.
that I was going to make more tarts.
Mm.
So, I've just been kind of creatively thinking about this for the last 24 hours, and I'm going to have to find a recipe to kind of get all the ins and out of it, but I am going to make a goat cheese and fig tart with honey drizzle and fresh nuts.
Oh, wow.
I think,
This sounds so good.
and it's part of the Mediterranean diet in my estimation.
Hey, well, we all know how good that is for you because it's all you hear about all over the place.
Exactly. So I feel like I'm checking all the boxes with this one. So I went and stopped at the Springbank Cheese Company just this morning, and I
No.
picked up some good goat cheese. We're gonna have yummy, delicious goat cheese fig
Mm.
nut tart thing. So I've got all the ingredients. I'm going to try, there's a tart dough in Samine salt fat acid heat. So I will give that a shot and see, because her tart dough, it seems, goes with a savory or a sweet tart. I feel like this one is like sweet and savory. It's got all the good stuff in it there. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I don't know what it's going to be like.
Is this classified, not that you need to classify
Oh,
anything at all, but is it considered like a dessert item, a fig and goat cheese tart?
hmm.
When would you eat such a delicious thing?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Or maybe an appetizer type thingy. I don't know why my brain went this way, but when I got the figs and was thinking about it, for some reason, goat cheese seemed like a natural pairing. And I'm assuming that I've just seen enough social media content on food that it's been subconsciously deposited in my brain that these things should go together. And so I just Googled fig and goat cheese, and there were a bunch of like quartered goat figs with like goat cheese stuffed in them and then drizzled with honey and a few nuts on top.
Mm.
And I
Oh,
was like,
yum.
that sounds great as like a little bite to eat. But then I was like, why not put that into a tart?
Why not?
Why not?
Indeed.
You're missing the carbs is the problem, right? We've got
Well,
our
and also
dairy and our fruit.
it helps to carry it.
Exactly. I've made a commitment to making more tarts in my life, so I thought, here's my chance.
Can you just run down real quick for the listener in like 30 words or less the
Oh,
difference between
great.
a tart and a pie, please?
No.
You can't?
If you'd like to know, go listen to that other episode. It'll be linked in the show notes because nobody knows what the difference between a tart and a pie is.
No, nobody does.
But it's for sure going to be pretty,
Tarts are usually pretty unless they're not.
unless they're not. Yep. It's going to be pretty. This sounds like it would pair with wine. I think if you're going to something where you have to bring something, this would be something a little different to pack along to a potluck or tea, or
Mm.
make and open that favorite bottle of wine and watch some TV on the couch with. I don't know.
Yes. All of the
Any,
above.
any and all. Excellent.
Fun. Ooh, fun. Can't wait. Are fresh figs highly perishable? Like, do you need to kind of use them as soon as you get them, or?
I think so. I'm not sure, sort of. Since ripe fruit does not transport and keep well, most of them are dried and processed. So I should probably get on this real quick.
Just in case.
Expect some food soon. I can tell you just want lunch, but
Yes.
I don't think I can whip it out in 20 minutes. Sorry.
That's okay. I can eat at any time of day. So I'm
Oh.
good whenever it's ready.
Well, thank you for being so flexible. Hey, listeners. As you might have guessed, we love trying out different seasonal foods. Check out our past episodes where we have cooked with garlic scapes, persimmons, zucchini blossoms, kohlrabi, fiddleheads, and kumquats. If any of these sound like something you'd like to try, we've got the episode for you down in the show notes. Now, back to this one. So let's talk about a fig and goat cheese tart.
Mm-hmm. Yes, please. Let's talk about it.
Because we took this tart, we split it down the middle, and both of us, our families don't like goat cheese that much. So we got to fully indulge in this. We didn't have to tell anyone to stay away from it. I did
Oh,
force everyone to try a bit, which just further confirmed their dislike of goat cheese and affirmed my going to eat this whole thing by myself.
I'm glad you also indulged in a whole half a tart because I was feeling like a bit of a piggy
Nope,
eating
nope,
that whole thing myself. Yeah.
it's okay. These figs, what an interesting fruit. What did you
Yes.
think of figs fresh? I enjoyed the somewhat leathery texture on the outside. I don't know how to
Hey,
describe it.
that's
It's
right.
like they
That's
have this
true.
like interesting kind of like a very fine grained sandpaper almost. I don't know how to describe it, but it was
Oh,
kind of pleasant to chew with the filling inside, and then the inside was full of all those little seeds. It was almost like kiwi like. I don't know. How would you describe a fig? Because maybe I'm not making this sound like anyone wants to eat it.
well, yeah, you might not be, but I'm not sure I can improve on it much.
Okay.
I thought it was like kind of squishy and chewy,
Mm-hmm.
but not in a bad way. And I wouldn't say sandpaper. I would
Okay.
say leathery kind of, but not even, but it's not tough to
But it
bite
wasn't
through.
tough or chewy. It just had a texture to it.
Yeah, I'd say more chewy.
Okay.
Little bit crunch. Not crunch, no. I
There was
don't.
like a pop from the seeds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That would be more of it. And they
Hmm.
were so pretty on the inside.
Oh, I know. They are beautiful
I've
to look at.
seriously never cut open and looked at a fig
But you've
fresh
seen
like that before.
like a photo of a fig, haven't you? Like you see them in food photos. We look at a lot of food photography in our feeds,
Yes,
social feeds. Yeah.
I definitely see, but I didn't know what I was expecting on the inside. Like I
Okay.
kind of was like, I do not really know what it looks like. I'm sure I've seen pictures, but it's nothing I've put to memory.
I
So,
think I may have audibly gasped when I opened that box. I was like, oh, it's so pretty. And I texted you immediately to say, it's so
of
pretty. It's
course it's pretty. All tarts are pretty, Heather.
yes, I remember that about the definition of a tart. But I
Yeah,
don't know. There's something about, I didn't know what it would look like when you said you were going to chop them. I thought, well, are we still going to see that kind of,
right,
'cause I
right.
do remember what the inside of a fig looks like. And I was like, oh, what are you going to do? Are you really chopping them up? It's more like quartered
Yeah.
so that you can still see the seeds and the whole, oh, I was like, wow,
It's so
look how
pretty.
beautiful this tart is. I really appreciated it. I ate it with my eyes first.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
best compliment because
Mm.
it is kind of a challenge. I spent some time rearranging things before I liked where I was going with it.
Oh, well, that is the challenge when you have these
Yeah,
open-faced tarts that you want to look pretty. When you
yeah,
want someone to have that reaction of, oh my, like, wow, it's so beautiful. You have to really think about
yeah,
how you're placing things and what are they going to look like after it's baked? Or if
yeah.
it doesn't bake, how does it hold up if it's going to be eaten the next day or whatever? Like, there's lots of things to think about when you're making a tart that's open-faced like
Yeah.
that.
And I find working in a circle is
Hmm.
also a challenge too, just because of the way it's all spaced out. I kind of thought this
Yeah.
might be, I think in the future I would use your big long rectangular tart pan to do this one because I think it would have been, especially if you were going to serve this like as an appetizer or a little munchie to bring along for something, you could cut it into little squares that would be easier, I think, to eat than the little pie-shaped slices. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so be it. It all went into my mouth. So,
I just grabbed a fork and
oh, look at you go.
oh God, so good.
All right, so let's start with the tart dough. I used the tart dough recipe in Samin Nosrat's Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat cookbook, and it has flour, sugar, baking powder, salt, butter, water, and it was supposed to have creme fraiche in it.
Oh.
And I was like, you know what? I know that that's not going to be Heather's friend. So I just substituted sour cream
Hmm.
because I figured, it's a dairy, it's thicker. I'm sure it'll work fine.
Interesting.
The flour, sugar, baking powder, and salt I put into my stand mixer, and then I shredded my butter on my box grater into the mixer and let it mix around until it was all sort of a coarse crumb and the butter had sort of evenly dispersed itself. Then I added in the sour cream, and then you're supposed to add a tablespoon of water at a time until the dough starts to come together, but you don't want it to form completely. You want it to be like a crumbly dough. It's kind of like making a pie crust is,
Mm-hmm.
where you don't want it to fully resemble a slab of dough until you've kind of rolled it out and folded it a couple times and it all comes together kind of thing.
Right, because you don't want to work the butter too much.
Yeah, you don't want to overmix it because you want those little flakes of butter to make your
Hmm.
crust flaky. So I think that worked out okay. I think I used like a tablespoon and a bit of ice water. It really wasn't a lot of cold water that I put in there. So once this dough came together, I rolled it out and popped it into my tart pan. And then I did a blind bake on it. I lined it with foil, put in my baking beans because I don't have pie weights. I just use small jar of dried black beans, and they're just my baking beans that I use as a pie weight, and they just stay in
Hmm.
that jar, and everybody knows it. Well, I'm the only one that uses them. So blind bake it for 15 minutes at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Once you've done that, you can remove your pie weights and your foil, and then you crumble your goat cheese into the bottom of that tart crust. This goat cheese, when I picked it up at Springbank Cheese, she told me it was kind of like a camembert of a goat cheese. So it was very soft and
Hmm.
sticky. Oh, so rich and really strong flavored. I think if goat cheese isn't your favorite, get something milder. But this was a really yummy, strong flavored goat cheese.
What do you think would be a substitute if you really don't want goat?
Maybe a feta cheese,
I was gonna say, do you think feta would work? Like a
or
cow
maybe a
feta?
combination of like a feta and a cream cheese, maybe a little bit.
Mm, I feel like cream cheese
Cream
might get a
cheese might
bit
be too
too,
drippy.
yeah. I think feta would probably be good. It'd be a little bit slightly different flavor with the
Hmm.
figs, but
But you could get a softer feta, something that would melt a little bit better in the oven.
yeah. I'm only asking for those people who don't like goat cheese. I love it. So I'm like, more, please. More the better.
I think I had 150 grams of goat cheese that I popped into the bottom of that thing. It was the whole little wheel that I bought. It was like all
Mm,
of it goes in.
yum. Yum.
So crumble the cheese. If it's a drier cheese, you can drizzle it with some olive oil. This was pretty soft, so I didn't want too much liquid in there, so I didn't add
Mhm.
the olive oil, but that was a suggestion. I think if you did the feta or something different or had a crumblier goat cheese, I would do the olive oil. Okay. You lower the temperature to 350, and then you put this back in the oven for 30 more minutes. And so your goat cheese is going to melt and then kind of start bubbling and getting crisp on top. And then you
Mm.
pop it out of the oven. Meanwhile, you want to cut the stem end off of your figs, and then I slice them into quarters. And then you can arrange them on top of the goat cheese in whatever way pleases you. Drizzle with honey, pop some fresh chopped walnuts or pistachios or pecans or whatever your
Mm.
favorite nut is. I went with walnuts, and then you're done. It was fast and easy to make and so good.
So good. I loved how this pie crust, you could see
Mm.
immediately when I opened up the box that you gave me, that it's held together so perfectly. The little ridges of the pie plate around the side, like you can pop it out of your
Mm.
pie pan. Do you have one of those with the removable
Yeah.
side where you pop it up? It was just like
So,
perfect. It was so perfectly the shape of the pan. Like I think sometimes pie crusts for me have been a little like they'll flake off or they're harder to get out or they don't hold together so well. This one seemed to be like perfectly when you popped it out of the pan, it just looked perfect, like for the presentation of it.
This dough really comes off the pan nice. Like I can't
Mhm.
say it's anything special. I didn't line it in parchment.
No, no, you couldn't get the same groove. Yeah, it looks like it's a great dough for when you want to have it out of the pan and presented and look pretty.
Yeah, I love that about tarts, how the edges and the sides just look so you don't have to worry about how you fold it like you do in a pie
Hmm.
dish. I really liked, yeah, I liked how it worked out. So I'll use this pie dough again or this tart dough again.
Hmm.
It was a gooder. So I'll write it up and add my changes to the recipe where I substituted sour cream.
Use what you know you can eat, is what I say. And if you just or if you just don't have creme fraiche and you're like, "Oh, I really want to make this, but I do have sour cream." Now you know you can sub.
Ta-da!
Yay. This is so good.
This is like the fourth tart I've made this year so far.
And trying new ingredients.
Yeah.
The fig.
I bet you figs are sweeter and better tasting than what we had here. I don't think they were terrible,
I'm
but I
sure.
also
Yeah.
feel like, I bet you this is way better
The
from the
source?
tree. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right? But I thought the honey drizzled on there really helped add to the flavor that you were getting from the fig.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard to describe, like if you haven't had one before. And I think you're right. I think the ones we get are probably much milder flavored than what you would get a more fresh from the tree kind of fruit. But I'd
Yeah.
say it's kind of sweet, but not really. I've heard them
No.
described as tasting like honey, but I don't know if that's the right description either.
Yeah.
I think you just have to you just have to try them and see for yourself, I guess.
Yeah. But they're definitely worth buying and munching on. And I've been putting them with my yogurt and granola, and they're an enjoyable texture, and I like munching on them. Oh, and a little bit of maple syrup on top of that.
Ooh, yum.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for coming along on this ride, and I'm so glad that we like goat cheese.
Oh, I know. It was, oh, that was good. And it wasn't, even though you said it was a strong
Yeah.
goat cheese, I didn't find it overpowering,
No,
as goat cheese can sometimes be with a milder flavored,
I think cooking it
no?
changed that. Because
Hmm.
raw, like the raw goat cheese, because I had a little bit, of course, all over my hands as
Yeah.
I crumbled it, you know how it sticks. So then you're licking off your fingers, and I was like, oh my God, this is so, so good. Like it was really intense. Almost like, like blue cheese or something. It's like that flavor that like
Yeah.
it hits you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
You either love that or you don't.
There's the lovers and then the haters. But I found it didn't have that same sort of intensity once it came out of the oven. So,
No, I found it was quite subtle.
mhm,
Actually, you kind of had to like wait for it to hit. Like, oh,
mhm.
there's the goat cheese. Like it was such an interesting combination. I love it. I think figs and goat cheese should always go together. I'd be curious to know what else figs make a good marriage with. I quite like this, but I bet they go with all kinds of yummy things.
Ooh, I saw like prosciutto and fig. I
Yes.
think definitely these
Mhm.
like very like salty, sort of
Fatty.
fatty, really intense flavors because they have a very, oh no, here it comes again, earthy sort of flavor to that
Uh-huh.
sweetness, right? But these have like that kind of like that full-bodied, very like
Yes.
subtle earthy flavor that just kind
Hard
of
to describe. Yes.
it's like the
I think
smell of fresh soil in your mouth. I don't know. It's such a weird thing to say, but
I don't know if it's soil. I think it's more like leaves or what
Mm,
you imagine a tree might taste like. Okay, we're
yeah.
getting like weird now. We probably should
I
stop.
promise I'm sober. I can't speak for Heather, but
She can never speak to my sobriety at any given moment.
fantastic. This is fun.
That was good.
And now for the fine print. For links to recipes and many other random things we talked about in this episode, check out the show notes or our website, www.threekitchenspodcast.com. Join us over on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and TikTok to see what we're cooking up next. And if you love the show, tell a friend. Word of mouth is the #1 way people learn about new podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. I think you're confusing me with someone else. There's no cheese curd longing for me.